The large viewing screen on the bridge of the Earth ship showed the approaching alien vessel. It was huge, at least 3 times the size of the largest Earth ship ever built. Its surface gleamed with a bluish metal unknown to humans. Commander Alan Wright stood with his hands behind his back, watching as the distance between the 2 ships closed. "They're hailing us again, sir," said Lieutenant Samantha Collins from her communication station. Alan nodded. "Put them through." The face that appeared on the screen was not what anyone had expected for humanity's first contact with an advanced alien species. The Xertian had pale green skin that seemed to shimmer slightly. Its eyes were large and completely black, with no visible pupils. Where a human would have a nose, it had only 2 small slits. Its mouth was a thin line that barely moved when it spoke. "Earth vessel," the alien said in surprisingly good English, "we welcome you to Xertian space. I am Overseer Kalzik. We are pleased that your species has finally achieved interstellar travel." Alan stepped forward. "Thank you, Overseer. I am Commander Alan Wright of the Earth Coalition Space Force. We come in peace and friendship." The alien's mouth moved in what might have been a smile. "As do we, Commander. We invite you and a small delegation to board our vessel for a traditional welcoming ceremony." Alan felt a flutter of unease in his stomach. This was all happening too fast. The Xertians had only made contact with Earth 3 weeks ago, sending signals to Earth's deep space monitoring stations. Now here they were at the edge of the solar system, inviting humans onto their ship. "We would be honored," Alan said carefully. "Please allow us time to prepare a suitable delegation." "Of course," said Kalzik. "We will send a shuttle for you in 2 of your hours." The screen went dark. Alan turned to his crew. "Opinions?" Samantha spoke first. "They seem friendly enough, but something feels off. Our intelligence briefing said the Xertians have conquered 12 star systems in the last 50 years. Conquerors don't usually make social calls." "I agree," said Alan. "Lieutenant Gary Phillips, what do we know about their biology?" The science officer looked up from his screen. "Not much, sir. They breathe a similar atmosphere to ours. Their body temperature is lower. Their blood is copper-based rather than iron-based like ours. And their weapons capabilities?" "Unknown, sir," said Security Chief Diane Rogers. "But the size of their ship suggests significant firepower." Alan nodded. "I'll leave the delegation. Samantha, you're with me. Also Gary for scientific observation. Diane, prepare security protocols in case anything goes wrong." 2 hours later, Alan and his small team boarded the Xertian shuttle. The interior was cold and smelled faintly of something like mint. The Xertian pilot did not speak during the short journey to the mothership. The main hall of the Xertian ship was impressive. The ceiling arched high above them, covered in what looked like moving star charts. Around 20 Xertians stood in formation, all wearing the same dark blue uniforms. Overseer Kalzik approached with what appeared to be a ceremonial tray. On it were 6 glasses filled with a glowing blue liquid. "Commander Wright, we are honored by your presence. It is our custom to share our sacred drink with new friends. This symbolizes the beginning of a beneficial relationship between our peoples." Alan noticed several other aliens in the hall, not Xertians. They stood quietly against the walls, their postures stiff and eyes downcast. Representatives from other species, perhaps. "Before we drink," Alan said, "may I ask who these other visitors are?" Kalzik's expression didn't change. "Allies. They have all partaken of our sacred drink and joined the Xertian harmony. As you will." Samantha caught Alan's eye and gave a tiny shake of her head. Something was definitely wrong here. "Perhaps," Alan said carefully, "you could tell us more about your harmony before we participate in your ceremony." Kalzik's black eyes seemed to harden. "The drink first, Commander. It is our way. Those who refuse show hostile intent." Alan smiled diplomatically. "No hostility intended, Overseer. But humans have certain protocols for first contact scenarios. Consuming unknown substances isn't in the protocol." The temperature in the room seemed to drop further. The other aliens along the wall tensed visibly. "I see," said Kalzik, no longer attempting to sound friendly. "Then perhaps we have misunderstood each other, Commander Wright of Earth." The mood in the Earth Coalition Emergency Council room was tense. It had been 3 days since Commander Alan Wright and his team had barely escaped from the Xertian ship. Now representatives from 14 planets sat around the large round table, their faces grim. "They've taken control of the Rigel system," said Ambassador Paul Miller from Mars Colony. "That's the 3rd system in 2 weeks." Alan stood at the front of the room next to a large screen showing a map of nearby star systems. Red dots marked the areas now under Xertian control. "Their pattern is always the same," he explained. "They arrive, invite leaders to a welcoming ceremony, and force them to drink their blue liquid. Those who drink it become like slaves. Those who refuse face immediate attack." Lieutenant Samantha Collins tapped on her datapad, and a new image appeared on the screen. It showed a Xertian ship firing on a small planet. "This was Beller Prime yesterday," she said. "They refused the drink. Now half their major cities are gone." An alien with blue skin and 4 arms spoke up. His name was Krex, from the Andorian system. "My people had no choice but to surrender," he said sadly. "We saw what happened to the Belerians. The Xertians gave our leader 1 hour to decide, drink or die." "What exactly is in this drink?" asked General Frank Hudson of Earth's military command. Gary Phillips, the science officer who had been on the first contact mission, stood up. "It's a neurotoxin," he explained. "It affects the brain centers that control independent thought and will. Those who drink it remain conscious and retain their knowledge, but they lose the ability to disobey Xertian commands." "Like a perfect mind control drug," said Samantha. "Exactly," Gary continued. "We've analyzed the small sample we managed to take. It bonds permanently to neural pathways. There's no known way to reverse the effects." The room fell silent as everyone took in this information. "So what do they want?" asked a woman representing one of Earth's island nations. Alan clicked to the next image. "Control. Resources. The usual things conquerors want. But they're smart about it. They keep most of daily life normal on conquered planets. They just make sure all key decisions go through them." Suddenly, all screens in the room flickered. The face of Overseer Kalzik appeared, his black eyes seeming to stare at each person individually. "People of Earth and allied worlds," he said, his voice cold and clear. "The time for discussion is over. You have witnessed our power. You know resistance is pointless." The camera panned out to show Kalzik standing next to 5 aliens of different species. Each held a glass of the glowing blue liquid. "Watch as your neighbors join the harmony," said Kalzik. The aliens raised their glasses and drank. For a moment, nothing happened. Then their expressions changed. The fear and resistance in their eyes faded, replaced by a blank calmness. "See how peaceful the transition is," Kalzik continued. "No pain, no death, only unity." One of the aliens, a tall being with orange fur, stepped forward. "My people welcome the Xertians," he said in a flat voice. "We are grateful for their guidance." Alan felt sick. He recognized the alien as Ambassador Trell of the Vandery. Just last week, Trell had been fiercely arguing for united resistance against the Xertians. Kalzik faced the camera again. "You have 24 Earth hours to decide. Either your leaders drink and join us peacefully, or we will take your world by force. The choice is yours." The screen went black. General Hudson broke the silence. "Can we fight them?" Alan shook his head, not directly. "Their ships outnumber ours 5 to 1. Their weapons technology is far superior." "Then what options do we have?" asked Ambassador Miller. Samantha stood up, her expression determined. "We need to find a way to neutralize their poison. That's their real weapon. Without it, they'd have to conquer each world the hard way." "Is that even possible?" someone asked. "I don't know," Samantha admitted. "But we have 24 hours to figure it out. and it's our only hope. The lab was filled with the soft hum of machines and the click of computer keys. Dr. Olivia Martinez hadn't slept in nearly 20 hours. Her dark hair was pulled back in a messy ponytail, and empty coffee cups littered her workstation. She stared intently at the screen showing the molecular structure of the Xerxian poison. The door slid open, and Captain Daniel Ross walked in. He was tall with broad shoulders and carried himself with military precision. His uniform was neat despite the chaos around them. "Any progress?" he asked, handing her a fresh cup of coffee. Olivia took the cup gratefully. "Maybe. Look at this." She pointed to the screen. The toxin targets specific neural receptors. It blocks the brain's ability to resist commands while leaving other functions intact. "That's why the victims can still talk and use their knowledge," Daniel said. "Exactly." Olivia pulled up another image. "I've been comparing the toxin's effects on different species. It works slightly differently in each one, but the end result is always the same." Daniel frowned. "So no natural immunity in any species we know of?" "None so far." Olivia swiped to a new screen. "But I noticed something interesting about human physiology. Our liver enzymes process certain compounds differently than other species. Could that help us?" "I don't know yet. Maybe." She rubbed her tired eyes. "I need a sample of human tissue exposed to the toxin to be sure." Daniel's face hardened. "That's not going to happen. We can't risk anyone drinking that stuff." The lab door opened again. Commander Alan Wright walked in, looking as tired as Olivia felt. "We're running out of time," he said. "3 more systems have surrendered in the last 6 hours. The Xerxians have extended our deadline by 12 hours as a gesture of goodwill. But that's it." "Sir," said Daniel, "Dr. Martins thinks there might be something unique about human physiology that could help us." Alan looked at Olivia with new interest. "Tell me." Olivia explained her theory again. "Human liver enzymes might process the toxin differently, and our neural pathways have some unique features, but I can't be sure without testing it." "I'll volunteer," Daniel said immediately. "No," Alan and Olivia said together. "We can't risk it." Alan continued. "We need every trained officer we have, and if it doesn't work, we'd lose you to the Xerxian control." The door opened again. Lieutenant Samantha Collins entered with Gary Phillips. "We've picked up Xerxian ships moving into position around Earth," Samantha reported. "They're getting ready for their attack if we refuse." "What about evacuation ships?" Alan asked. "Ready to launch, but there's nowhere safe to go," she replied. "The Xerxians have blockades on all major routes out of the system." Gary stepped forward. "I've been analyzing their attack patterns. They'll target major cities first to force a quick surrender." The room fell silent. Billions of lives hung in the balance. "There has to be a way to test your theory," Alan said to Olivia. "What about lab mice or other test animals?" Olivia shook her head. "Already tried. The toxin affects them the same as other species. Whatever makes humans potentially different is too complex to see in simpler organisms." "What about tissue samples?" asked Samantha. "Not enough," said Olivia. "The toxin affects the whole nervous system. I need to see how it interacts with a complete human body." "Without risking someone becoming a Xerxian puppet," added Daniel. Gary had been quiet, looking at Olivia's data on the screen. "What about someone who's already dying?" he asked softly. They all turned to look at him. "My uncle," Gary continued. "He has stage 4 cancer. The doctors gave him 6 months at best. He was a Marine before he retired. If anyone would volunteer for a mission like this, it would be him." Alan looked at Olivia. "Would that work? Someone with terminal cancer?" Olivia thought for a moment. The cancer wouldn't affect how the toxin works on the brain. "Yes, it could work. But we'd need to be careful about dosage. Start with tiny amounts." "Get him here," Alan decided. "But make sure he understands the risks. This has to be completely voluntary." Gary nodded and stepped away to make the call. "And if this works?" Daniel asked. What then? Then we might have a chance, said Olivia. A small one, but a chance. John Peterson sat on the edge of the medical bed, his large hands resting on his knees. At 58, he was still powerfully built, though thinner now from his illness. His gray hair was cut short in the same military style he had kept since his days as a Marine. So you're telling me, he said slowly, that you want me to drink alien poison that has turned every other species into mindless slaves. Dr. Olivia Martinez nodded. A very small amount at first. We'll monitor everything carefully. John looked at his nephew Gary, who stood nervously by the door. And you think this might help save Earth? It might, said Gary. Dr. Martinez believes there's something different about human physiology that could make us process the toxin differently. But you don't know for sure, John stated. We can't know without testing it, Olivia admitted. And we would never ask if I wasn't already dying, John finished for her. He smiled slightly. It's okay. I understand. The door opened, and a young woman rushed in. She had John's same square jaw and determined expression. Dad, what are you doing here? I've been looking everywhere for you. Lisa, John said, his face softening. I meant to call you. Lisa Peterson looked around the room, taking in the medical equipment and the serious faces. What's going on? Gary called and said you were needed for some important project, but he wouldn't explain. Commander Alan Wright stepped forward. Miss Peterson, I'm Commander Wright. Your father is considering volunteering for a critical mission. What kind of mission requires a man with stage 4 cancer? Lisa demanded. John reached out and took his daughter's hand. They need someone to test if humans can resist the Xerxian poison. Lisa's eyes widened. No, absolutely not. Dad, you can't. Lisa, listen, John said gently. The doctors gave me 6 months. Maybe less. This way, my life might mean something. I might help save yours and millions of others. Your life already means something, Lisa said, tears forming in her eyes. To me. The room fell silent. Everyone felt uncomfortable witnessing this private family moment. Finally, Olivia spoke. Miss Peterson, I understand your concern. We would take every precaution. The dose would be tiny at first. At the first sign of any negative effect, we would stop immediately. And if it works? Lisa asked bitterly. Then what? You give him more and more until he becomes what? A test subject. If it works, said Alan, we might find a way to neutralize the Xerxian's greatest weapon. We might save billions of lives. John squeezed his daughter's hand. Lisa, I've made my decision. I want to do this. Lisa looked at her father for a long moment. Then she turned to Olivia. I'm staying with him. Through all of it. That's my condition. Olivia nodded. Of course. When do we start? John asked. As soon as we can prepare, said Olivia. The Xerxians have given us less than a day before they attack. Hours later, John lay on a medical bed surrounded by monitoring equipment. Lisa sat beside him, holding his hand. Dr. Martinez, Commander Wright, and Captain Ross stood nearby, watching intently. Olivia held a small vial containing a drop of blue liquid, diluted in water. This is less than 1% of what would be in a Xerxian ceremonial cup, she explained. We'll start with this tiny amount and see what happens. John nodded. Let's do it. Olivia handed him the vial. John looked at Lisa one last time, then drank the contents in one swallow. For a moment, nothing happened. The monitors showed normal readings. John blinked a few times. How do you feel? Olivia asked anxiously. No different, John said. No urge to serve alien overlords. Everyone smiled with relief. But then John gasped. His back arched slightly, and the monitors began to beep rapidly. Dad! Lisa cried. Heart rate increasing. Olivia reported, checking the monitors. Brain activity spiking in unusual patterns. John's eyes were wide open now, his pupils dilated. His breathing came in short gasps. "What's happening to him?" Lisa demanded. Before Olivia could answer, John relaxed back onto the bed. The monitors gradually returned to normal. He blinked several times, then focused on his daughter's face. "I'm okay," he said, "but something definitely happened. I felt strange, like a rush of energy through my whole body." "Did you feel any urge to obey commands?" asked Alan. John shook his head. "None at all." Olivia was already analyzing the data from the monitors. "This is remarkable," she said. "His body didn't just resist the toxin. It seems to be metabolizing it into something else entirely." Everyone stared at the monitor screens in amazement. It had been 6 hours since John Peterson had taken the first dose of the Xertian poison. Dr. Olivia Martinez had just finished a complete scan of his body. "I can't believe what I'm seeing," she said, pointing to the colorful images of John's brain. "The toxin molecules have been completely transformed. His liver enzymes broke them down, and his body turned them into something new." Commander Alan Wright leaned closer to the screen. "And this new substance is doing what exactly?" "It's enhancing his cellular functions," Olivia explained. "Increasing neural transmissions, improving muscle response, even accelerating his natural healing." "Is that why I feel stronger?" John asked. He was sitting up on the medical bed, looking more energetic than he had in months. The color had returned to his face, and he seemed less tired. Lisa touched her father's hand. "Your skin is warmer too." Captain Daniel Ross frowned. "So instead of becoming a mind-controlled slave, he's getting better." "It appears so," said Olivia. "But I need to run more tests to understand exactly how this is happening." Lieutenant Samantha Collins rushed into the lab. Her face was tense with worry. "The Xertian ships are moving closer to Earth. They've cut our deadline short. We now have only 4 hours before they attack." Ellen looked at Olivia. "We need to move faster. Is it safe to give John another dose?" Olivia checked the monitors again. "His vital signs are stable. Better than stable, actually. His blood oxygen levels have improved. But I don't know what a higher dose might do." "I'll take it," John said firmly. "We don't have time to be cautious." Lisa squeezed her father's hand. "Dad, please be careful." Olivia prepared another vial. This one contained a blue liquid that was less diluted than the first. "This is about 10% of a full Xertian dose," she said. "It's a significant increase from what you took before." John took the vial and drank it without hesitation. This time, the reaction was immediate. He gasped and his body tensed. The monitors showed his heart rate jumping quickly. "Dad!" Lisa cried in alarm. For 30 seconds, John's body remained rigid. Then slowly he relaxed. When he opened his eyes, they seemed brighter, more alert. "How do you feel?" Olivia asked, checking his vital signs. John flexed his hand, looking at it with surprise. "Strong. Really strong." He stood up from the bed in one smooth motion. "The pain in my joints is gone. I haven't felt this good in years." Daniel stepped forward. "Let's test this." He held out his hand. "Squeeze my hand as hard as you can." John took Daniel's hand. As he squeezed, Daniel's eyes widened in surprise. "That's impressive," he said, pulling his hand away and shaking it. "The cancer?" Lisa asked Olivia. "What about the cancer?" Olivia checked the latest scan results. "I can't be sure yet, but some of the tumors appear to be shrinking. It's as if the enhanced cellular function is fighting the cancer cells." "This changes everything," Alan said. "If humans don't just resist the poison, but actually benefit from it, we might have a real chance against the Xertians." Samantha nodded in agreement. "But how do we use this information? We can't exactly ask the Xertians to poison all of us." "No," said Alan thoughtfully. "But maybe we can send a team onto their ship. A team of humans who have taken controlled doses of the toxin." "A strike team," Daniel said, understanding Alan's plan. enhanced by the very weapon the Xertians use against everyone else. I want to be on that team, John said. Everyone turned to look at him. I'm already showing the effects, and I have nothing to lose. Dad, no, Lisa protested. You're not a soldier anymore. I was a Marine for 20 years, John reminded her. And right now, Earth needs every advantage it can get. Alan looked at Olivia. Would it work? Could we create a team of enhanced humans in time? Possibly, Olivia said, but we'd need volunteers immediately. And we'd need to find the right dosage that enhances without endangering. I'll volunteer, Daniel said. Me too, added Samantha. Alan nodded. I'll make the call. We need a small team. 6 to 8 people at most. Former special forces if possible. While you do that, Olivia said, I'll prepare more doses and set up monitoring for everyone. As the others left to prepare, Lisa looked at her father with a mixture of pride and fear. Just promise me you'll be careful. John smiled at his daughter. I promise. For the first time in months, I actually believe I might keep that promise. The small transport ship moved silently through space. Inside, 8 humans prepared for the most important mission in Earth's history. They wore black combat suits with special padding to protect against Xertian weapons. Major Samantha Collins, now in charge of the mission, checked her gear one last time. Next to her, John Peterson adjusted the fit of his suit. Despite his age and illness, he looked stronger than anyone had seen him in years. 4 other soldiers, all volunteers who had taken the Xertian toxin, completed final weapons checks. Everyone clear on the plan? Samantha asked. Captain Daniel Ross nodded. We board the Xertian command ship using the maintenance access point. We make our way to their central control room. We secure their toxin production facility and gather intelligence on their fleet movements. And we capture Overseer Kalzik if possible, added John. Remember, Samantha said, the enhanced strength and speed from the toxin will last about 6 hours according to Dr. Martinez's estimates. We need to complete the mission within that window. On the main deck of the Earth defense ship, Commander Alan Wright watched the mission team's transport on the tracking screen. He spoke into his communication device. All fleet ships are in position, he told Samantha. We'll create a distraction on the far side of the Xertian fleet. That should draw attention away from your approach. Understood, Samantha replied. We're ready. Olivia's voice came through the communication system. Major Collins, all team members' vital signs are showing strong. The toxin effects are stable. Good luck. The transport ship accelerated toward the massive Xertian vessel. As they grew closer, they could see its enormous size. It was easily 10 times larger than the biggest Earth ship. Look at the size of that thing, whispered one of the soldiers. Size doesn't matter if they don't see us coming, Samantha said with confidence. On the other side of the Xertian fleet, Earth ships suddenly appeared from behind the moon. They fired warning shots and quickly retreated, drawing several Xertian ships in pursuit. The distraction is working, Daniel said, checking the scanner. Most of their ships are moving to engage. Their transport reached the underside of the main Xertian ship. Using specialized equipment, they attached to a maintenance hatch and cut through the locking mechanism. One by one, they entered the alien vessel. The inside of the ship was cold and dimly lit with blue lights. Strange symbols covered the walls. The team moved quickly through the narrow passages, following the map they had created from intelligence reports. First junction ahead, Daniel whispered. We should encounter guards there. As they turned the corner, 2 Xertian guards stood at their posts. Before the aliens could react, John and another soldier moved with incredible speed. They reached the guards in seconds and knocked them unconscious with precise strikes. The enhanced reflexes are amazing, John said quietly, looking at his hands. They continued deeper into the ship. The passages grew wider, and they encountered more aliens. Each time, their enhanced strength and speed gave them the advantage. The Xertians were completely unprepared for humans who could move faster than they could aim their weapons. In the Earth defense ship's command center, Alan received updates from the team. Olivia stood beside him, monitoring the team's vital signs on her tablet. They've reached level 4, Alan told the bridge crew. No casualties so far. Their enhanced metabolism is burning through energy quickly, Olivia noted with concern. Their body temperatures are rising. Can they complete the mission? Alan asked. Yes, but they need to hurry, Olivia replied. Back on the Xertian ship, the team reached a large door marked with important-looking symbols. This should be it, Samantha said. The central control room. Daniel placed explosive charges on the door locks. Everyone took cover around the corner. 3, 2, 1. Daniel counted down, then triggered the explosives. The door blew open with a loud bang. Smoke filled the corridor. The team rushed in, weapons ready. Inside was a large circular room with control panels along the walls. In the center stood Overseer Kalzik, surrounded by other Xertians. But instead of looking alarmed, Kalzik seemed almost pleased. "Humans," he said in his cold voice. "How predictable. We knew you would try something desperate." Suddenly, panels in the walls opened. Dozens of armed Xertians poured into the room, surrounding the team. "Did you really think we wouldn't detect your approach?" Kalzik asked. "We've been expecting you." Samantha looked at her team. Despite being outnumbered, no one showed fear. The enhanced humans stood ready, weapons aimed at the surrounding aliens. "Actually," Samantha said with a small smile, "we were counting on it." Overseer Kalzik stared at Samantha with his black eyes. "You were counting on being trapped and outnumbered?" he asked with clear disbelief. "Yes," Samantha replied. She nodded to Daniel, who pressed a button on his wrist device. Suddenly, alarms began blaring throughout the ship. On the main view screen in the control room, multiple small dots appeared near the ship's outer hull. While the Xertians were distracted looking at the screen, John and the other enhanced humans moved with incredible speed. Before the aliens could react, half of their guards were already disarmed and knocked unconscious. "What is happening?" Kalzik demanded, backing away from the humans. "While we kept you busy," Samantha explained, moving toward him with unnatural quickness. 20 more transport ships attached to your vessel. 300 Earth soldiers are now boarding your ship. Kalzik's expression changed from confidence to concern. "Impossible. No species would risk direct confrontation with us." John stepped forward. "That's because no species could resist your poison before. But humans can do more than resist it." He grabbed a Xertian weapon from a fallen guard and bent its metal barrel with his bare hands. "We use it." Outside in space, Earth ships engaged the remaining Xertian vessels. The aliens were confused by the sudden attack from multiple directions. Their carefully planned conquest was falling apart. In the Earth Defense Ship's command center, Commander Alan Wright watched the battle unfold. "The boarding teams have secured the engine room and weapons control," reported a communications officer. "And the strike team?" Alan asked. Olivia checked her tablet. "Their vital signs are still strong, but the enhanced effects are beginning to fade. They have maybe an hour left before they return to normal." "Tell all teams to move as quickly as possible," Alan ordered. "We won't get another chance at this." Back in the control room, Samantha had Kalzik cornered. The Overseer looked genuinely afraid now. "How is this possible?" he asked. "The toxin controls the neural pathways of every species we've encountered." "Not humans," Samantha said. "Our bodies don't just resist your poison. We transform it into something useful, something that makes us stronger." More Earth soldiers entered the control room, securing the remaining Xertian guards. Daniel was at a control panel, downloading information about the Xertian fleet. "I've got it," he called out. "Their entire battle plan, the location of all their ships, and something else." He looked up with excitement. "The formula for their toxin." John walked over to a large container in the corner of the room. Inside was a glowing blue liquid, enough toxin to control thousands of beings. "So this is your great weapon," he said to Kalzik. the source of your power over other species. Kalzik remained silent, his earlier confidence completely gone. Samantha touched her communication device. Commander Wright, we've secured the control room and captured Overseer Kalzik. Captain Ross has downloaded their fleet information and the toxin formula. Excellent work, Major. Alan's voice came through. What about the toxin supply? Before Samantha could answer, John suddenly grabbed his chest and fell to one knee. John. Samantha rushed to his side. What's wrong? John's face was pale, his breathing labored. The effects. Wearing off, he managed to say. Cancer. Fighting back. Daniel joined them, helping John to sit against a wall. He needs medical attention immediately. Samantha called Olivia. Dr. Martinez, John is in distress. The cancer seems to be advancing rapidly as the toxin effects fade. Get him back to the ship right away, Olivia replied urgently. The interaction between the toxin and his cancer cells is complex. I need to examine him. Two soldiers helped John to his feet. As they started to move him toward the exit, a Xertian guard who had been playing dead suddenly rose and aimed a weapon at Samantha's back. John saw the movement. Despite his weakness, he pushed Samantha aside and lunged toward the Xertian. The alien fired. The blast hit John in the shoulder, spinning him around, but his enhanced strength was still enough to reach the guard and knock him down. Dad. Lisa's voice came through the communication system. She had insisted on being in the command center during the mission. Are you okay? John touched his wounded shoulder. I'm hit, but I'll be fine. We completed the mission. That's what matters. As they led John from the control room, he looked back at Kalzik. Your poison didn't enslave us, he said. It made us stronger. That's something you never expected. Samantha secured Kalzik with restraints. Your reign of terror is over, she told him. Earth is not just resisting. We're taking the fight back to you. 3 weeks later, representatives from 24 alien species gathered in the Grand Meeting Hall of the Earth Coalition headquarters. The room was filled with beings of all shapes, sizes, and colors. Some had been freed from Xertian control. Others had been hiding, waiting to see if any species could stand against the powerful conquerors. At the head table sat Commander Alan Wright, now promoted to Admiral. Beside him was Major Samantha Collins, Captain Daniel Ross, and Dr. Olivia Martinez. A chair remained empty next to them. Alan stood and addressed the gathering. 6 days ago, the last Xertian command ship surrendered. Their fleet has been disabled. Their leaders, including Overseer Kalzik, are in custody. The threat they pose to all free species is over. A cheer went up from the assembled representatives. When it quieted, Alan continued. Using the formula obtained from the Xertian ship, Dr. Martinez has created a compound that neutralizes their toxin. All beings under Xertian control have now been freed and are returning to their homeworlds. Olivia stood next. The Xertians relied on one weapon, their mind-controlling poison. They never developed their military technology beyond what they needed to deliver that poison. Once we found a way to counter it, their advantage was gone. An alien with blue skin and 4 arms raised one hand. It was Krex from the Andorian system. How did humans do what no other species could? How did you resist their poison? Olivia displayed some images on the large screen behind her. Human liver enzymes process certain compounds differently. When the toxin entered our bodies, instead of binding to our neural pathways, it was transformed into something that enhanced our physical abilities. We turned their weapon against them. We are deeply grateful, said another alien representative. But at what cost? We heard many humans sacrifice themselves in this fight. Alan nodded solemnly. We lost good people. Their sacrifice will never be forgotten. The door at the side of the hall opened. Lisa Peterson entered, pushing a wheelchair. In it sat her father, John. He looked tired, but his eyes were clear and alert. The room fell silent as Lisa wheeled him to the empty place at the head table. John Peterson, Alan announced. The first human to drink the Xertian poison and show us it could be defeated. The room erupted in applause. John nodded in acknowledgement, too weak to stand. When the noise subsided, Samantha spoke. John's bravery gave us the key to victory, but he paid a high price. The interaction between the toxin and his cancer created complications. Lisa placed her hand on her father's shoulder. Despite his pale appearance, John smiled at the assembled aliens. "I was dying anyway," he said in a voice that carried across the hall. "This way, my death has meaning." "Not death," Olivia corrected quickly. "Not yet. In studying how John's body processed the toxin, we've made an incredible discovery." She changed the image on the screen to show medical scans. "The way the toxin interacted with his cancer cells has given us new insights. We believe we can now develop treatments for many human diseases, including several forms of cancer." John looked surprised. "You never told me that." "I wanted to be certain before giving you false hope," Olivia replied. "The treatments are still experimental, but early results are promising. You may have more time than we thought." Lisa squeezed her father's shoulder, tears in her eyes. Alan addressed the gathering again. "Today marks the beginning of a new alliance between our worlds, the Galactic Coalition. We've learned that together, we are stronger than any threat. Each species brings unique strengths." A small green alien stood. "And what role will humans play in this coalition?" Alan looked at John, then at Samantha and Daniel and Olivia. "We are the defenders," he said simply. "When others cannot fight, we will stand. When weapons are designed to break the body or mind, we will find ways to overcome them. Not because we are superior, but because we are stubborn." John smiled at that. "Very stubborn," he agreed. The room filled with laughter and then applause. As representatives of 24 worlds stood to honor them, John looked up at his daughter. "Worth it," he whispered. "Definitely worth it." Lisa nodded, wiping away a tear. "Yes," she said, "it was."